Before I start this podcast, I would like to say that every human being on this planet is entitled to respect. With that being said, if you are part of the community and easily offended, I would suggest that you turn off the podcast now. There are many things that I have said within the podcast that you may feel offended by, or you may feel is offensive to your community as a whole. I am not set out to disrespect you guys. However, on here on TYREE Has the Audacity, I have the right to share my beliefs and share my views as well. With that being said, enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the TYREE Has the Audacity podcast. Now, before we start, I just want to go ahead and say that I know this is a very touchy subject and it has been debated for years and years and years, okay? Now, my goal here isn't to offend anybody, but I just want to point out that the name of this podcast is TYREE Has the Audacity. So you may hear a couple things that may offend you, and you may hear a lot of things that are controversial. However, I just want you to keep an open mind about what I have to say. And then at the end of the day, you can either agree with it or you can disagree. Or we can agree to disagree. So, I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the title. Should the world cater to the LGBTQ plus community? Now, I have friends who are gay. I have friends who are lesbians. I have a friend that goes to my school that's a transsexual. I know people within the community, okay? I don't have a problem with gay people. I have a problem with those who feel that the world should cater all of their attention and all of their energy to the things that they want. That's what I have a problem with, especially when you are not the only people that matter in this world. Not saying that you feel like you are, but you're not. We have a lot of different things going on in this country that are more important than your issues. And I'm sorry, but there are things that are more important than others, in my opinion. So let's go ahead. I have broken it up into different topics. So the first topic I want to deal with is violence. Does anybody deserve violence? No. Okay. Now, I understand the LGBTQ plus community experiences violence on a day-to-day basis. However, you aren't the only ones who do. There are black people who are getting harassed every single day, every minute of the day, by every culture out here in the world, especially by the Caucasian persuasion, okay? You aren't the only ones who get violated. You aren't the only ones who get disrespected and neglected. I'm sorry, but you're not. And I don't feel like we should have to cater to you just because you are experiencing things that people decide to throw at you. Not saying that they're right, but why should you receive more attention than the people who get it on a day-to-day basis? You chose your lifestyle. Now, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Let me say that again. You chose your lifestyle. There is not one gay gene in your body. I'm sorry, but no, you were not born this way. I hate to say it. It's sad, but it's true. If you can bring me a piece of paper from a doctor, a biologist, a medical examiner that says there are genes in your body that dictate your sexuality, I promise you, I will go back and I will delete this entire podcast. I will, and I will put out a statement that says I put out wrong information. But until then, there is not one gene in your body that dictates your sexuality. What people don't understand, or what people fail to realize, is that everything we do is learned behavior. Racism is a learned behavior. Sexism is a learned behavior. You deciding which sexuality you want to fall under is your choice. Just like you chose to be gay, you could have chose to be a transsexual. Just like you chose to be a transsexual, you could have chose to be bisexual. Just like you chose to be bisexual, you can choose to be asexual. You have made your choice. And just because you don't want to, just because, see, this is where the controversy comes in. Just because you can't handle what comes with your decision doesn't mean it is a problem for the whole world to solve. That sounds like I'm being a butthole, but it's the truth. There are people out here who get attacked for the simple fact that they are not white. And you're saying that the violence you receive is more important than theirs. Now, maybe that's not what you say per se, the person that's listening to it, but I have met people who have said this. I have met people who feel what I'm saying about the community. I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. This is what I have been hearing. Now, the second issue I have with the community is parenting. You guys feel like for example, two gay men walk into the adoption place, and you want to adopt a little girl or you want to adopt a little boy. And somebody may say to you, you cannot adopt this child for the simple fact that there are two gay men raising this child and you are incapable of providing them what they need in order to be successful in their life. Now, do I agree with that? To a certain degree. I am a traditional person, okay? So I believe that every child should be able to experience the mother and father in their life. We know on numerous occasions that everybody is not able to do that. Everybody has not been able to grow up with their biological father. I wasn't able to grow up with my biological father for the mere fact that he decided to leave. Okay? That's just the way it is. However, I have been able to experience positive male role models in my life throughout my 17 years. And those male role models have been very important when it has come to the development of my character and the development of who I am. My mother has been a prominent factor in the development of who I am. My mother and the other leading female roles in my life have taught me what it means to treat a woman with respect. And I believe as a person, as a human, on TYREE Has the Audacity, that there are things that a man can teach a boy that a woman can't teach a boy, and there are things that women can teach young men that men can't teach young men. And that goes for the same thing when it comes to girls as well. A father can teach his daughter something that her mother can't, and the mother can teach her daughter something that her father can't. And I'm sorry, but two of the same gender, two people being the same sexuality. No, let me go back because I'm mixing my words together. I want to be very clear when I say this. Two gay people, two lesbians, raising a child, something is not there that needs to be there. It's an unequal balance. Men and women are not created equally. So if men and women are not created equally, how is it that you think you can teach what the other species can? Because you can't. Your brain is wired differently. Now, your experiences may be able to teach one thing, but the natures of male and female are completely different. So when you walk into an adoption place trying to adopt a child and they say no because you're two gay men or no because you're two women, I can't say I disagree. Now, there are people I know who are raising a child and they're two lesbians. I've seen it. I see it. Is there anything wrong with it? I don't think it's anything wrong with it, depending on what aspect you're looking from. I think everybody deserves to have two parents to get a balance. Everything coming from one side is never okay. So having those having those two voices in your ear for you to be able to make the decision between the two is great. However, I believe that you need that positive male role model and that positive female role model in order to provide that balance, in order for you to grow up in this world knowing the different possibilities that are out there. There are some things that women can expose you to that men can't, and there are things that men can expose you to that women can't. So I'm sorry, but I do think the traditional way, and there should only be men and women together as a couple, as a union. Matter of fact, not even as a couple, but as a union that raise children. And if they say that you're not able to do that because you're two gay men, I'm sorry, but we have to look at it from a different aspect. You're looking at it as an equality aspect, and we're looking at it as what's better for the child. And in some cases, what's better for the child is to have that equal balance between male and female. There are currently 5 states that legally allow adoption agencies to deny adoptions to a same-sex couple because of their sexual orientation. And I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, it's all subjective. If I'm in charge of the adoption agency, I feel like I should have the choice over what people should care for the child that are under my care right now. If I care about the kids, I should be able to choose where they go. And if I don't want these children to go with you because of your lifestyle, then that's my choice. Before we move on, if you feel like I am attacking you, I sincerely apologize, but these are just my views. And if you feel like you need to turn off the podcast right now, then I suggest you do so, because we're just going to keep getting deeper and deeper into this topic. Because the next one is employment discrimination. Now, do I feel like gay people, do I feel like lesbians, do I feel like transsexuals, do I feel like asexuals, do I feel like bisexuals should be denied their right of a job if they're qualified for it? No, I don't. However, I do believe that sometimes when they don't get the job, it has to be because they're gay. It has to be because they choose to live a different lifestyle. It has to be because they're a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I'm sorry, but nobody ever gets every job that they go after. Just because you don't get the job that you so feel you deserve doesn't mean that you need to go out and cry discrimination just because you didn't get it. Why can't it be that somebody is just more qualified than you? Now, I do understand that there are people out here who are a part of the community who were denied their right of a job because of their sexual orientation. I get that. I'm not saying that that never happens. I'm talking about the times where people just say it just because of the mere fact that they didn't get the job. I'm sorry, but there are people who are more qualified than you. We should not have to cater to you just because of your sexual orientation. You think these companies are afraid of you crying wolf, saying that you didn't get the job you felt like you deserved because of your sexual orientation? Please, tell somebody else the story, because we're tired of hearing it. And then when people make you look like a joke, and when people call you a clown, then the entire community, the entire agency is ready to throw shots. They're ready to sue. Sue for what? What are you suing for? Because you didn't get the job that somebody else got, that you applied for? I'm not saying that this situation is because they are denying you the fact to work because of your sexual orientation. I'm saying people who use their sexual orientation as a crutch to get every job that they want. And when they don't get it, it's a problem. Sorry, but no, that's not how it works. Do better. Do better. No, but let's move on. Housing discrimination. Let's go ahead and make this short and cut to the chase. If I own a house and I'm renting it out to people, all I'm going to say is I have the audacity to choose who I want to be in that house and who I don't want to be in that house. Now, if you feel like I don't want you to be in the house just because of your sexual orientation, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it's my home. And I get to choose who I want in there. There are 28 states in this country where housing discrimination is illegal. I get it, and that's amazing. Your sexual orientation should not come into play when you apply for a house. However, like I said in the beginning, a lot of things with the arguments that they pose is subjective. You can't argue with the way somebody feels about the way you live your life. And just because they have their opinion on you, you have your opinion on them. There are some things that you will allow a certain type of people to do for you, or a certain type of group to do things with you that you won't allow any other people to do. So I have the choice on if I want you to be in my house or not. Not saying that you damage the house, but if I don't want you in my house, I don't want you in my house. Why do it gotta be a discrimination thing if somebody doesn't want you to do something? That's what I don't get. It's always you're hollering discrimination. Anyways, let's move on to the next topic. Bathrooms, schools, and other public accommodations. This is the one I've been waiting for. So I just want to say this. If you are, let's go ahead. Let me address the transsexuals, okay? If you are a transsexual, there are two types of transsexuals. To me, maybe not to you, but to me it is. There are people who have gone through the surgical changes, and then there are those who have not, okay? So to the ones who have not gone through the surgical changes, to the world, you are a man dressed up in a dress. So by you saying you want to go into the women's bathroom as a man dressed up in a dress, we don't know what to think. We don't know what mental state you could be in. We don't know what disrespectful thing you could do. Not saying that you would do it, but we're thinking of all the possibilities of what could happen. So do you know what could happen to a woman who now identifies as a man, who hasn't gone through any surgical changes, that wants to use the men's restroom? First of all, I've never even heard that. I've only heard of men who are now women who want to use the women's bathroom because they feel like they will be assaulted if they went into the men's restroom. I have never heard of a woman who is now a man who wants to use the men's restroom. Why? Now that part I would like somebody to explain to me. Why is it that the women don't want to use the men's restroom, but the men want to use the women's restroom? Is it because they feel like, oh, and then that's another thing. I get that men can be very disrespectful creatures. I get it. I understand. However, all men are not the same. Okay? Let me say that now. Just because you walk into the men's restroom doesn't mean you're going to get assaulted. Just because you walk into the men's restroom doesn't mean somebody's going to look at you and say, oh, you need to do this with yourself. Oh, you need to do that with yourself, and start questioning you. The main thing is when people go to use the bathroom, they go to use the bathroom. So why is it so important for you to get this special accommodation because of your lifestyle? I don't believe you should have it. I don't believe you should have it in schools. I don't believe you should have it in public areas. I don't think you should have it at all. I feel like if you want to live that lifestyle, then you are going to have to do things that you don't want to do. You're going to have to experience things that you don't want to experience. And now let me compare you to the African American community. And we're going to take we're going to take sexuality outside of the African American community. So let's say we got black people and we have gay people or people who are part of the community. Black people can say, I did not choose to be black. I am experiencing this discrimination for no reason. Okay? I'm experiencing things because of the mere fact of my skin color, and that is something I had no control over. Gay people, on the other side, you cannot say, like I said before, that you did not choose the lifestyle that you have. And let me go further. When you come out to people, one of the first things that person will say is, I hope you are ready to experience the backlash that you're about to receive just for the mere fact that you are gay, just because of the mere fact that you are a lesbian, especially if you're a transsexual. You have to be prepared for these things. And just because you are doesn't mean that you gain immunity, or just because you are a part of this doesn't mean that you're not going to receive it, because you are, and you know you are. I'm sorry, but we as humans cannot exterminate racism. We as humans cannot exterminate sexism. We as humans cannot exterminate discrimination, because there are people who are rooted in that. Okay? Now, you willingly decided to do this. And because you willingly decided to do this, it's different than being black in America. It's different. There are people who listening who are saying, well, Tyree, I know there's a difference. But I want to tell you, there are people who don't know the difference. There are people who saying me being gay is the same thing as you being black. No, it's not the same. But let me go back to the main thing, the bathrooms. Should you have special accommodations with the bathrooms? No, you should not. If you were born a man, you use the men's restroom. If you were born a woman, you use the women's restroom. If you decided you wanted to go through the surgical change, then you use the bathroom for which private area you have on your body. And that's just the way it has to be. And let's move forward. The last topic I want to discuss is acceptance, and how the LGBTQ plus community has a problem when it comes to people who accept them. Let me explain something to you guys, okay? Guys and gals. No one has to accept your lifestyle. I kept quiet because I want that to sink in. Let me say that again. No one has to accept the way you live your life. Okay, now that has sunk in, nobody has to accept the way you live your life. People really don't. The moment somebody say, oh, you're homophobic, that is the worst thing on this planet. It is terrible to not want to be around a homosexual person. That's what they'll tell you. And how, oh, my sexuality should have no effect on you and this, that, and the third. However, why can't it be that sometimes there are some people who feel uncomfortable around you because of your sexual orientation? That's not a bad thing. It's not bad for people to have homophobia. They just don't want to be around you. And you can't force yourself onto them. If somebody don't want to be around you, they don't want to be around you. Okay? And sometimes you have to accept that there are people out here who are homophobic. And you have the choice if you want to deal with them or not. Now, if they say, hey, leave me alone, leave them alone. Now, I'm not saying somebody will probably say that, or they'll probably be very disrespectful. But there are people, just like people having arachnophobia, they have homophobia. They don't want to be around spiders. They don't want to be around you. I'm sorry, but that's the way the world works. The world is not going to cater to you, and the world should not cater to you. What makes you think on this God's given earth that you should receive your rights before somebody else does who have been advocating for them for years before you have? No, the world should not cater to you. So you are entitled respect, but the world does not have to cater to you. And that's just the way it has to be. Thank you all for tuning into today's episode of the TYREE Has the Audacity podcast. I love you, and I pray that you learn to love yourself just a little bit more than you did yesterday. Be blessed, and I'll see you guys next time. Also, if you would like your letter to be featured on the Hope Letter segment, make sure you send that to THTAudacity@gmail.com. And make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at THTAudacity. Oh, I almost forgot one more thing. I love hearing back from my viewers, and feedback is an amazing thing. If you would like your topics to be discussed over here on the TYREE Has the Audacity podcast, let me know. And if you would like to be a guest on the TYREE Has the Audacity podcast, let me know that too. All right now, run along and stay out of trouble.